The market we're looking at is S&P 500 M&A futures, and the time frame is 2000 tick chart. Each bar will print after 2000 transactions went through the market, and the new bar is going to form. Now the structure for the day is clearly a trading range. This is a very neutral bias. Price is swinging up and down through this 21 bar exponential moving average. This is just a supportive indicator. And when the structure is a trading range like this, we are mainly as a price action trader sticking to shortened trend lines because we're following the trend line rule. This is the only thing we have to follow in tight ranges like this, because trend line rule says after there's a break, new extreme of the trend line is most likely going to be anticipated. There's a downtrend working lower, close outside, and two legs to a new extreme being formed. Uptrend working higher, break, new extreme being formed. But you guys can see that we are losing steam. Price is right now hovering around in the middle of this entire trading range, and there's no clear bias right now. So as a trader, I need to sit patiently here. I cannot take impulsive entry. I cannot guess. I want to be sure that I'm reading it correctly. I may be wrong, but I want to at least feel confident that I think I'm reading it correctly. So right now, this is indecision, this is unclear bias, and we cannot take impulsive entries and guess. The stock market has opened 10 minutes ago, and you guys can see we are in this small little trading range, which is a part of this bigger trading range right here. EMA is completely flat, price is oscillating up and down through the exponential moving average. There was a little failed breakout, which most breakouts of these consolidations of these trading ranges will fail and price pull back into a trading range, but EMA is still completely flat. There is no clear bias right now. This trading range is very tight, and I don't want to force any entries once again, so I'm just sitting patiently and waiting for bias to clear up. Alright guys, I'm quickly resuming video as there is a second entry short that formed. I dropped my limit order. I'm going to chase it a little bit. Come on, fill me. Alright, and our order got filled, so I'm going to move my stop loss above this signal bar. I'm going for a 2.5 point target profit. Actually, I'm going for 9 because I used a stop order entry, and we're one tick away from getting filled. And what I'm looking at is we have a downtrend structure working lower that broke out of this trading range, and we have a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. This is two-legged pullback, second entry short at the exponential moving average. And come on, we're one tick away from getting filled on our first trade, and we finally got out. Perfect. So I'm going to move my runner and move my stop loss at break even, because right now this is a gravy. This one last contract is just a bonus. Main portion, the 5 contracts, were scalp. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to tighten it very tight like this. I'm going to take 7 points because the structure was a trading range, and I don't really anticipate getting a big runner, and we got a 7.5 points, I believe. So this was our first trade for the day. So let me quickly mark it. This was a second entry short, and I'm going to go through the structure again. The structure was a trading range, and you guys can see there was one failed breakout that broke to the downside and pulled back into trading range. Another failed breakout, pulled back into trading range again. And it was a very tempting entry because there's a shortened downtrend with the break and a new low, and most breakouts of these trading ranges will fail, but this was right into EMA, and the signal bar was way too big. So I'm still being patient. Market continue pushing lower, and you guys can see I'm using first 2 swings to identify the trend line. Third swing confirmed this trend line. So with these first 2 swings, I know that the downtrend is valid and the sellers are right now active. We are close to the support, but we didn't really make it to the support yet. We have still a little bit of room, and after break of the downtrend close outside, we expect for price to create a new extreme. And I also have to draw the shortened trend line. So you guys can see shortened trend line, little break, close outside, move to a new extreme, indicating that the uptrend played out. Big bearish bar and key entry point is holding price. Two-legged pullback is a high probability setup with the proper context and at the proper key entry point. The context is good, it's bearish because we expect new low to be formed. Key entry point is holding EMA. Signal bar behavior is gigantic, big bearish bar. Really great entry, and two-legged pullback, uptrend played out as well. So this was a great first trade for the day. Really textbook price action that anybody can spot. So I'm glad we managed to catch this first one, and we'll see if we can get decent entries. I took the runner right here because I really expect for price to pull back, because when the structure is trading range like this, you really don't want to be greedy. But 7.5 points is still a very, very good runner if you combine it with the scalping. I may extend the downtrend because if we keep pushing lower and lower, I'm going to be looking for bigger downtrend. Alright guys, so I'm quickly resuming video as there was a nice double trap entry. You guys can see new low was formed for this downtrend. First entry short, second entry short, but this second entry short for way far away from exponential moving average. So you know everybody who's going short this far away, all the way down to these lows, is going to get trapped. and there was a failed second entry short, and everybody going long too early is most likely going to get trapped as well. There's a nice push below EMA, big bearish bar, but this bar was way too big. We have a first break of this downtrend, and we expect new extreme to be formed. And when I look at the 2500 tick chart, take a look what a gorgeous bar there was. New low, first entry short, second entry short right here. Downtrend is nicely pointing down. Price is nicely working lower, and there was a nice two-legged pullback, second entry short. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention because I was looking at this bar, how big it is going to be, and I was contemplating, and unfortunately I missed the 2500 tick chart. And this is how you can use 2500 tick chart. You can filter the good setups if you have a bad signal bar on your main chart right here. So 2500 tick chart can have a little bit cleaner entry sometimes. So this was a shame. This was a great entry because now there's a closeout height, new extreme form, which tells us that the downtrend is most likely no longer in play. We created a measured move down. I just measured this trading range right here, copy it, put it somewhere at the bottom to make it look a little bit two-tiered. So we reached our measured move, so we can expect bounce from here. And now that we definitely created a new low, and take a look at the uptrend also had a break and the new extreme, which tells you that it's safe to be shorting if you push back below EMA. Simple price action. Unfortunately, the bar was way too big for me to risk it with the proper risk to reward ratio. I should have paid attention to 2500 tick chart here. Quickly resuming the video, as there was a lower high formed, which was very tempting, but there was a downtrend working lower, which had a break, new extreme was formed, another push down, another new extreme, and another new extreme, and another new extreme. So this is telling me that this downtrend is quite strong, and I should be looking for more shorts opportunities. But when I'm looking for flatter channels, I can't really find anything that would fit really well. This one looks fairly tempting. This channel doesn't look that bad as well. Just nothing that would fit perfectly. So for that reason, I didn't like taking this lower high, because lower high is mainly a confirmation setup. And since I don't have a clear downtrend that would confirm the bearish structure, a lower high is, in my opinion, not safe just enough here. So I would like to get a failed second entry long. If failed second entry long forms close to the EMA, that would be a great sell, because we still have a strong bearish structure, and I would still see myself selling and getting a few more legs down to new low. All right, here we have the failed second entry long. But as you guys can see, it formed really far away from EMA. The bar is way too big and it is way too close to these lows. Had this signal bar been much smaller, I would have liked it. But since we are already far away from exponential moving average, I really don't like shorting here. And 2500 tick chart, it doesn't have a failed second entry long setup at all here. So for that reason, I'm just waiting. When I'm taking a failed second entry long, I really want it to close right below EMA, right next to EMA. So there's a lot of room to this swing right here. So I'm not shorting at the very bottom. But unfortunately, I cannot go short here just yet, because we are quite far away from EMA. And we already, you're shorting all the way down to these lows. So even though the structure is bearish, and this is a very tempting trade, because everybody who went long here on a second entry long in downtrend structure below EMA is most likely trapped. All right, quickly resuming video, as there is a second entry short at the exponential moving average in a downtrend, which is extremely tempting to take. But this signal bar is not very bearish. There is a bearish stem at the top part of the body, but still 2 or 3 ticks of a bullish body, really telling me that I really don't like entering this. I may enter this as a double bar entry. If we trigger below this bar right here, I'm going to drop my limit order further back and take it as a, if we can get filled on our way back here. All right, we got filled, so I'm going to move my target profit, a stop loss above this bar right here. And right now I'm going to go for, I wanted to go for 8 ticks, but I guess we're going to stay at 10 ticks. Let's see. Boy, we're really close to these lows right here. Let's see. We are on 25. Yeah, this is 10 ticks. I wanted to go for 8 ticks because my entry is not great, but we're 1 tick away from getting filled. And we got filled. So I'm going to move my runner at these lows. And what was I looking at? I was looking at the downtrend structure because we kept making lower highs, lower lows. I didn't really find a decent channel that would be fitting this downtrend structure. All the channels didn't really fit well. So I decided to go with this flatter one, kind of like a first steep downtrend and the flatter downtrend, and you guys can see that it's quite holding at the top, and EMA keeps holding price. We are failing to push above, so this is indicating still strong bearish downtrend. So when I see a structure like this, I'm just focusing on second entry shorts at the key entry point. There was a second entry short at the EMA, but the signal bar was horrible. There was a second entry short, but the signal bar was way too big, and this is now a micro trading range, so this is not enterable as well. And there was a first entry short, second entry short at the key entry point. Similar pattern right here, break at a new extreme, so that tells you that the uptrend played out, but the first signal bar wasn't great. So I waited for this signal bar to finish, and I entered it as a double bar entry after this signal bar finished, which means I dropped my limit order where my first initial entry would have been, and I managed to get filled here. All right, then our runner just got filled. So this was the second trade for the day, and you guys can see how similar these patterns are. Just two-legged pullback at the key entry point while the uptrend played out, two-legged pullback at the key entry point while the uptrend played out. Downtrend structure, you really have to stay away from all of these unsure setups. There was a break, new low form, and there was a lower high, but like I mentioned, after new low, you don't want to take short, and there was a second entry short again, but you now had two legs to a new extreme, and you had what looked like to be a measured trading range, a measured move to a trading range, so you cannot go short yet. Then there was a double trap, but it closed above EMA, and I didn't see any decent entry. There was a reversal pattern, which was quite tempting because you're looking at it as a break, new extreme. So there's a nice strong push above EMA. But to me, this downtrend still looked quite strong, so I didn't really feel like going long just yet. It would have worked for a scalp. Alright traders, I'm resuming video as I'm preparing a second entry, short entry, very close to exponential moving average. Preparing my limit order, my 6 contracts, and we ticked one tick higher, and the bar is getting really big, but I really want to enter this trade because the structure is a strong downtrend. There's an uptrend working higher, a little break, and a new extreme form, which tells me that the uptrend is no longer in play. And there is a two-legged pullback, which is a high probability setup because it is at the key entry point. It's a big bearish bar rejection. I'm going to try to sneak in with the limit order. One tick back like this. Come on. All right, so I'm going to put my stop loss one tick above this bar right here. I'm going to go for 2 points worth of target profit. I'm going to move my runner down here. And this is a two-legged pullback. Uptrend played out with the break at a new extreme. EMA keeps holding price. First break for this downtrend, so I expect, according to price action rules, to create a new low, and nothing I can do now. This is a two-legged pullback close to EMA, and it's either going to work or not. So let's see and wait. All right, and we got filled. Perfect. So this was our third and last trade for the day. Let's see if we can get a decent runner here. So I'm gonna mark it. Let's see. What I'm looking at on the bigger picture is there is a bigger downtrend like this, which had a break and moved to a new low. But after such a big strong downtrend like this and a first break, you really expect for price to create additional push to a new extreme. So I'm most likely not going to be too aggressive with my runner. I'm going to play it conservative, and I'm going to take somewhere between 6 to 7 points if we manage to make it on one swoop down like this. But hopefully you guys understand the setup right here. Just simple price action, nothing complicated. Every setup I took today was almost identical. Two-legged pullback at the key entry point after waiting to a new extreme, two-legged pullback at the key entry point, two-legged pullback at the key entry point. Nothing too complicated, and our runner just got stopped. All right guys, so this is the entire chart at the end of the day, and there was a first major bearish leg, and we ended up creating a second big leg down. There was a little bullish rally, but the second major bearish leg started, and you guys can see we're even pushing lower and lower. So this was a really strong downtrend day. And when you see downtrend like this, only thing that you're focusing on is the exponential moving average. You're focusing on the high probability setups at the EMA. You're not even thinking about buying. You're thinking about second entry shorts, failed second entry longs, and lower high. Don't even think about picking a bottom. Today was really hard to find a proper trend line, especially in this area right here, because price just keeps pushing lower and keeps pushing lower and keeps creating a new extreme. So this tells you there's probably a larger pattern in play. But what do you do if you struggle to find the best trend line? Because no good trend line really fit perfectly, especially when you're doing this live. Even after the fact, I don't like a couple of these trend lines. The main thing that you just do, you just accept that you're in a downtrend, you accept the bearish bias, and you focus on the EMA. It doesn't matter that you don't have the perfectly fitting downtrend, the down channel. Only thing that you're focusing on is the exponential moving average. How is rejecting price, and do you have a second entry short or failed second entry long at the exponential moving average? You just keep the bigger pattern as a bias confirmation. But the more important thing I want to talk about is If you guys take a look at all of these 3 setups, I basically took one single setup 3 times today. And this just goes to show how powerful and simple this setup is. And it doesn't sound flashy. It's not something that is trendy on the internet because it's not sniper entry, it's not order block, it's not moving average crossover, it's not stochastic divergences, none of this stuff. It's just simple 2-legged pullback at the key entry point. It is simple, but it works. You guys can see the first entry right here. If I'm going to delete this trend line, there's the new low form, there's a first entry short, second entry short. So we have a 2 legs up and a second entry short at the proper key entry point. Context is good because we have a downtrend. So we have a break. According to rules, we expect new extreme, and the uptrend played out because there is a close outside and new extreme form indicated that buyers are no longer in control. Simple, easy price action. There is a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short at the exponential moving average. Context is a strong bearish downtrend. We talked about that the price keeps creating new lows and new lows. Uptrend played out with the break and new extreme, and we have a bearish bar right here. EMA keeps holding price. The same setup right here, and new low right here. First entry short, second entry short. Uptrend played out with the break and the new extreme. Exponential moving average keeps holding price. So you have a second entry short at the key entry point. After break of a downtrend, you expect new extreme. Nice bearish bar. Perfect, easy price action setup. So it's nothing too flashy, it's nothing too overcomplicated. You just need to be willing to be patient and sit here and wait for these proper setups. And there were a couple of decent entries that I missed. There were a couple nice good longs that I should have been taking on the way up, which I didn't because I just wasn't really sure. I saw a strong downtrend. I was expecting some bigger pattern, and these setups are great. I was really tempted to take this one right here, but I just wasn't sure, and that's okay because if you just wait, there are always the 2 or 3 easy setups, easy to spot, and you just need to be willing to sit here and do not take impulsive trades. That's what this is mainly about. You know, if you're doing this for multiple years, you're getting the experience not to be able to recognize this 2-legged pullback, because you can recognize this 2-legged pullback after a couple of months, but you're gaining the experience so you can recognize the setups that are not really there, that are not really the textbook. So you gain the experience, so just you sit throughout this mess, you don't take impulsive entry, and then you execute when the proper setup appears. So these are one single setup 3 times, second entry short after uptrend played out at the key entry point, and these 2 times we had a break and we expected new extreme to be formed. So hopefully you guys had a great trading day. Hopefully you guys understand that you don't need to overcomplicate it. If you just learn to follow the institutions and wait for high probability setups, you don't need to overcomplicate it. And there was the last trade I want to talk about. I wasn't even trading at this time, but I saw that this would have been tricky because we have a downtrend right here. We have a break, and so you expect for price to create new extreme, and there's a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, failure. So this is a nice 2-legged pullback, second entry long, failure, because we're in a downtrend and you expect new extreme and you close below EMA, but this entry would have failed. If I'm going to take a look at the right side of the chart, this definitely doesn't look bad. It is a big bearish bar that closed below EMA. So if you took this trade right here and you took a chance, nothing wrong. It's still like this trade, it followed the rules, but we already seen a similar setup. If you take a look, the failed second entry long is supposed to form below EMA right here. EMA is supposed to hold price and we're going to push lower. The fact that there was a big bullish bar that closed above EMA is indicating something different. We already talked about it in one video. When you're expecting the failed second entry long, you really want for price to push below EMA and EMA hold price. All right, traders, here's the setup that we talked about not too long ago. I remember when I was watching this high right here and strong push below EMA, I expected a first entry long pullback, a second entry long, but I wanted for this second entry long to close below EMA and to push price lower. Of course, overall bias is a little bit different here because today's structure is a strong downtrend. At this particular day, I was looking at it as we have a break and a new extreme, so I was looking for a reversal pattern, but this was the clue. If the failed second entry long is going to be a good pattern, this bullish bar is not supposed to close so strongly above EMA. No, EMA is supposed to hold, and the failed second entry long is supposed to close below exponential moving average. This is the why it is better to be a little bit patient here. Once you see the failed second entry long, but EMA is not holding, in a matter of fact, you push strongly up in such a gigantic bearish bar. So this tells you that we may stall a little bit. This is just a little nuance. If you pull the trigger here, you follow the rules. Just the big bullish bar gave you additional piece of information here. I'm not going to make the video too long. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.